Hey Bookwormies, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. Today is going to be a long one. I'd recommend getting a nice beverage, getting some small activity like coloring or crocheting or even, I don't know, any activity that you guys want, because we're going to be talking about every single book I've read in the year of 2025. So cozy up, because this is going to be a long one. Anyways, I read a total of 179 books in 2025, and we're going to be going over every one of them from January to the very end of December. Okay, let's get started. In January, the first book I read was Wherever You Are, and this is kind of like sort of part of that like Addicted Calorie Sister series, and I absolutely loved that book. Like this book, I really enjoyed it. It was a great continuation. It's about different characters. And the first book I read in 2025 was Wherever You Are. This is sort of like a continuation for the Addicted Calorie Sister series. The first book follows different characters, a different couple, but we still see the characters from the Addicted and Calorie Sister series, obviously. I rated this book 4 stars. It is a romance. I'm trying to go quickly, so I'm trying not to yap too much about the books, but I don't know how that's going to go with me. We can only say so much. Anyways, then I read Whatever It Takes, which is the second book in that same series, and I rated 3.75 stars. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it was still good. Like, I still enjoyed it. It just wasn't as enjoyable as the first one. Then we have Circe. This is one of my best friend's favorite books. She talked about it a lot, and I was just like, yes, I have to read this. And so I read it, and it's pretty much about mythology, and it was such an interesting book. I really loved it. It's 4.5 stars. I still think about it from now and then. Today, now I just remembered about it, and I was like, oh, that's actually a good book. Okay, next I read The Wicked King. I read Cruel Prince in 2024, and I enjoyed it, but I don't know how I felt about it. Then I decided let's finish the series because it's such a short trilogy, and the books are also really short. And so I rated The Wicked King 3.5 stars. I don't know, guys, I am not one of those people that absolutely loves this entire series. I'll read it, but I'm not gonna go out there and be like, yes, you have to read this one. I feel like a lot of people enjoyed it because it was something I don't know, I feel like it's a simpler fantasy. It's not something super heavy, so it's good for those that are just starting reading or just starting their fantasy journey. Then I read Queen of Nothing, finishing the Cruel Prince trilogy, and I rated 3.75 stars. It was a bit better, but not by much. I don't know, guys. I never really understood fully the hype. I get it's a nice book, but just never really felt that much for it. Then I read Love Hypothesis. I believe this was my first Ali Hazelwood book, and I absolutely loved this. This was so fun. I rated it 4 stars. So good. I recommend it to this day. It's her STEM books, amazing. I love them. Next I read Love on the Brain. It was also pretty good. It was pretty short though, so I just didn't feel the same. It was 3.25 stars. Still recommend reading it, but all of her STEM books, obviously. But this wasn't a fan favorite. Then I reread the entire Shadow and Bone trilogy. Shadow and Bone I rated at 3.75 stars. Siege and Storm 3.75, and Ruin and Rising also 3.75. These were not the best books ever, I can tell you. I feel like one of the reasons why I rated it so highly the first time I read it was because I just started my fantasy journey, and I don't know, I was just feeling it, and it was so good. But now rereading it, I honestly don't see it. I see it, but then at the same time, I'm like, why did I find this nice? Why did I find that nice? When honestly, I don't see where I got it from. Next, I read Daisy Hates, continuing my Magnolia Park journey. I finally read the first Daisy Hates book. This one was a 4 stars. It was really, really good. Really enjoyed it. Then Eric knocked Cicadia, and it created the path to starting DNFs this year. Okay, that sounded weird. Pretty much, this was the first book I DNF'd in 2025. I just couldn't get past some of the stuff that they said and some of the things that happened. I just couldn't get past it, and I was just like, okay, I'm not doing this. Bye-bye. And I DNF'd the book. I don't think I'll come back to it ever. Then I read Scott Pilgrim, which is one of my best friend's favorite books, and it was a 2.75 to 3 stars. I don't know how to feel about it as a comic, but it does you'd think it's very childish, but it deals with a few subjects that are a bit more adultish. I don't know how to explain it. And then I reread Fourth Wing and Iron Flame in preparation for Onyx Storm, obviously. I read Onyx Storm in February, though, because it released it. I don't know. Anyways, pretty much, I've read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame in January. I reread them. They're so good, 5 stars. I'm never going to change my mind about them. They are that is one of my favorite series of all time. Rebecca Yarros changed me with that series. Every book that I read by her is a blessing. I absolutely love all of them. Some of them make me cry. Some of them make me pretty much wonder about my life and what I'm doing and existing. Yes, but still absolutely love her books. They are amazing, and I really recommend if you guys have not read Fourth Wing or just any of her books, I recommend picking one up. Fourth Wing is amazing. All of them are amazing, But this is her only, I believe this is her only fantasy series. It is an ongoing series, guys. There's only the first 3 books out, so if you want to get through the entire thing, good luck. we're gonna have to wait a while. Come back in 2030 and maybe the series is finished. Anyways, in February I read Onyx Storm, 5 stars obviously. I don't know why you would even ask for it to be a different rating. It is a 5 stars, yes. Then I read Practice Makes Perfect, and I absolutely adored this book. This was so fun, so cute, so beautiful. I loved it. 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Just this author, I really like her writing style, and I'm so happy that I finally read it. Then I decided to read Yellowface. I read the Poppy War trilogy by R.F. Kuang, and then I really enjoyed that series, even though it's dark. And then I was like, wait, she also has Yellowface, and you know, it is a bit controversial. I don't know, but like I really enjoyed it. It was so fun to read about. I actually have the physical copy of this book because I really enjoyed it. I read it 4.25 stars, which you bet like I usually only buy books if I like rate it 5 stars or I just bought it randomly. But this one I bought it afterwards and I was like, yeah, I actually really enjoyed this. I need this. Yeah. Then I read Cheat Sheets, another romance, and it was also so cute, so fun. It was just so easy to read. Didn't require much brain power, but it was also so cute. 4.5 stars. Then I'll Give You the Sun, which is one of my best friend's favorite books. If you're not seeing a pattern yet at the start of this year, I was just reading all of her favorite books. But I rated this one 3 stars. It is very interesting. It's not a very popular book, so I recommend you guys try it. It's very interesting, but it does deal with a few different topics. Then I decided to read my first dark romance series, and so I read The Sweetest Oblivion, rating it 4.25 stars, The Maddest Obsession, rating it 4 stars, and The Darkest Temptation, rating it 3.25 stars. So The Darkest Temptation was by far the worst one of all of them. I did not understand and I couldn't get past some of the things that happened in this book, but the other 2 books were really interesting, and I read this as my first dark romance. Like, I was watching a few, like, dark romance guides for beginners, pretty much, by Yana, specifically that video was, and she said this is a good book when you're a beginner to dark romance. It's not too heavy, and I agree. Like, honestly, it's not that heavy. It deals with a few things. Obviously, there's mafia. Obviously, there's that kind of stuff, but it's not super duper crazy dark, which is what I loved about it. It was really fun. I want to continue my journey with dark romance this year, so hopefully you guys will be able to see that. Then I read Good Girl Bad Blood, continuing my A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, and finishing it, I think. Sometime this year I finished it. I don't remember if it was also in February or not. But Good Girl Bad Blood, I rated 3.5 stars. It was good. It was better for me, I feel like, than the first book, which is surprising. I feel like everybody didn't really love this second book, but whatever. Then I read These Infinite Threads, continuing this Woven Kingdom series, and rated it 4 stars. I am planning to reread this entire series this year. I really want to reread it in 2026 and read the new books that I haven't read yet, because I've only read the first 2 and there are now 4 out. There's only 1 left, so I'm pretty sure I really want to reread the first 2 books and continue to the 3rd or 4th, because I don't remember that much, so I really want to go over it again. But These Infinite Threads was a 4 stars. Then Off to the Races I read, 3.75 stars. I decided to read the entire series. These are one of the earlier works of Elsie Silver. You guys might know her for her Chestnut Spring series or the Wild series, I don't know what it's called, Rose Hill series, yeah. You might know her for those 2 works, but this is one of her older series, and I read the first one 3.75, then Out of the Gate 3.25. I think this was the short book. Then Photo Finish 4 stars. Then I took a quick break and read Romance Scarlet Princess, and I rated it 3 stars. It was interesting, but it just didn't feel like anything special for like all of those, like a lot of the fantasy romances that I read. But it was an interesting book, and I continued to read it. But I first came back to the romance series and read the Front Runner, rated it 4 stars. Then Tarnished Crown, part of that Scarlet Princess series, 3.75 stars. Then A False Start, 3.75 again. And then I took a break from both of those series. And then I finished the Elsie Silver, but I'll still continue the Scarlet Princess. But I took a break to finish the entire A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, pretty much finishing As Good as Dead, and I rated it 4 stars. Not bad. Anyway, I actually enjoyed As Good as Dead the most out of all 3 of the books, which is so surprising because, I don't know, I feel like everybody just loved the first book and then the third and lastly the second, and for me I think it was 3, 2, 1. That's my view of the books. Then I read The Favorites, which became popular around that time, and I heard a lot about it. It's a very interesting story, and it's very different from what I usually read. There's like this interview style, and then there's like a story style. But it had moments where it irked me, which is why I, in the end, rated it only 3.5 stars. I was really enjoying it to this point, but there were just some certain things that I couldn't deal with, so I just decided to rate it 3.5. Then I continued the Scarlet Princess series, rating Crimson Kingdom 4 stars. Then I finished the series with Obsidian Throne, rating it 4.25 stars. Okay, now we are going into March, okay? In March I read 14 books. The first book I read, 1,000 Broken Pieces, which is like the second book to 1,000 Broken Hearts, but it's kind of like about the sister. And I rated this one 5 stars. I feel like I rated 5 stars because of the amount of trauma and the amount of like times I wanted to cry a bit because of what was going on, but I don't know if I really have thought about it since then, so this is probably just a spur of the moment 5 star. I don't think it's actually like a 5 star in my head, but it's like probably around the 4 range. It was still a really good book, but it is very sad. And then I read Rebel Witch finishing the Crimson Moth duology, and I rated it 4.5 stars. Really good. Then I read Normal People, which was my first Sally Rooney book, and the only one I read in 2025. Maybe I'll read another one this year, but it really depends. I rated this one 3.5 stars. It was an interesting start, and like the way that she doesn't use like the quotation marks to indicate that somebody's talking is interesting. But interesting in the way that I'd rather she keep them in. Like, I'll draw it, please, just, I don't know. Like, it was a good idea, but I enjoyed Normal People. It's nice. It's the first lit fic that I really read. What's with me in words today? Don't know. Then I decided to read Glass Sword, continue my Red Queen series, and I rated it 3.5 stars. Nothing special. I think, wait, this was the second book, right? Glass Sword, yeah, Glass Sword is the second book. This was my least favorite by far of the series. It just felt very repetitive, but I feel like it just got the second book syndrome. That's why. And then next I read The God of the Woods, and this was my second DNF of the year. I just couldn't get past it. I just couldn't read it. I just couldn't feel it. I was like, I'm kind of done here. I'm wasting time and I'm barely getting through the book. So I was just like, I'm going to have to leave you. Thank you. Then I decided to get back into Elsie Silver because I finished that other series earlier. Now I decided to start the Rose Hill series. So I read Wild Love, rated 4.25 stars. Then I read Wild Eyes, rated 4.5. Wild Eyes is by far right now my favorite book of the entire series. I still have Wild Card to read. I'll talk later about the third book. But I still have Wild Card to read, but this one was still by far my favorite. I'm still going to count it. I don't think Wild Card will be that good. Then I read Sunrise on the Reaping, one of the most anticipated reads, I think, on everybody's TBR. Like, I don't think there was anybody that did not know that this book was coming out, because at this point there probably was a billboard in New York Times Square. Because, what the hell, this is literally one of the most anticipated. It's about Haymitch, if you guys don't know, from the Hunger Games series, and I rated this book 4.5. It was a really, really good book. But I'm really sad that I didn't reread the Hunger Games series before I read this one. I feel like it would have heightened myself, but I don't know. But anyways, actually in 2026, yeah, this year, the movie for Sunrise on the Reaping is coming out, and I'm so excited. I'm gonna watch it, and it has been said that Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson will come back for kind of like a future, like it will turn into a flashback movie. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's being said that they're coming back. And I don't care how they're coming back, when they're coming back in the movie. As long as I see their faces for even 5 seconds in the movie, I will die a happy girl. That's kind of my idea. Anyways, then I decided to start my journey from Blood and Ash. If you guys don't know, that's a hefty series. I'm still missing quite a few. I don't know how much I remember. But I rated 3.25 stars. I just didn't feel like it was anything special, but it's fine. Then I read Gone Girl. I DNF'd it. I was probably 70 or 80% through it, I think. I don't remember numbers that well. I just couldn't do it. I was taking so long, and then I was still reading it, and I was just done with it. Okay. And then I read Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which is like the second book, I'm pretty sure, in that series, and I just didn't read it. I just didn't know how to read it, so I just didn't read it. And then I decided to continue from Blood and Ash, and I read A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, 3.75 stars. Then I read Rulebook, another very cute, fun romance. It's like a rom-com, I would call it. I don't know why. But 4.5 stars, it was really good. I just love these romances that go by quickly. Like, they were nothing crazy special, but they were so fun. Then I read Summer in the City, which was, like, by Alex Sasser. She's mainly known for her fantasy series. But, this one came out, and I was just like, oh, it's interesting. It was 4 stars. It was nothing special. There were moments that I was like, oh, yeah, it's okay. Nothing special for me. Then we come into April, and the first book I read in April was Torment Part 1, 3.5 stars. This is a very dark duet, very, very dark. And then I read the second one, 3.75. I still really enjoyed them, but like there were certain things that were always like a bit like, what is this, okay? Then I read Say You'll Remember Me, which is by Abby Jimenez, and I absolutely adore this book. I gotta say this, I love this book. By far, one of my favorite reads of the year. I rated 4.75 stars, technically, but I could even say 5. Honestly, why even dilute it to being just a 4.75? It's honestly like a 5 stars. I love this. So many people just didn't like it because it's very insta-lovey, or that he gave everything and she gave nothing kind of stuff. That's what I've been hearing on the internet for people that didn't enjoy it, but I personally really loved it. It was a fun book. It was so easy, but at the same time, it just had its own things. And I don't know, it's one of those books where, like, I don't mind the insta-love. Whatever you will call it, I will take it. Like, most of the time, if you say, what do you think of the insta-love trope? I'll say, get it out of my face. I don't want it. But in this time, I really enjoyed it. Then I read Spark of the Everflame. I decided to start that series. I rated it 4 stars, the first book. Then Glow of the Everflame, 4.25. And then I took a break and read My Fault, which is one of a different friend. She absolutely loved this book. And it's also a 3-cent movie in Spanish. There's now the London version. I don't know. I watched Culpa Mía, Culpa Tuya, Culpa Nuestra. I watched the Spanish version. I tried watching the London version and I said no to it. But pretty much the books. Okay, this is what we're here for. My Fault, I rated it 4.5 stars. It was a good book, but, like, I see why she loved it, but it was not my crazy, you know? But I still really enjoyed it. Then I decided to read Empire of Flame and Thorns. I don't know where I got it from. I don't know what it is. It's a 3 stars. I just couldn't. I was like, why are you here? You just feel like a dupe of, like, everything, you know? It's like the Teemo version of, like, ACOTAR and, like, a bunch of different fantasies. It just felt like the Teemo version of Romantasy. You know, I just couldn't get past it. Then the reappearance of Rachel Price, which was one of the newer books by Holly Jackson, and I rated it 4 stars. It was an interesting book, but it was not my favorite by her. There are better books that she has released. So then I read Scott Pilgrim and then Infinite Sadness. Also did not rate this, but it's fun. It's easy to get through. It's a comic, but it was really good still. Then I read Fearless, which ended my journey in the Powerless trilogy. There's so many debates whether I don't know if there are debates now. I feel like now people are just saying, yeah, this is what happened, you know? But that Powerless is kind of a copy of Red Queen. I read both of them. I see the similarities a lot. I see them a lot, but I could not tell you anything. Like, because I just don't want to go around throwing accusations unless I'm 100% sure. Like, probably if I sat down with both books and flipped through them, I could probably find a lot of similarities, but I read Powerless in 2024 earlier. And then Red Queen a bit later, maybe, much later, so I just didn't remember it, you know? But I see the similarities a lot. But Fearless, I just rated it 3.75 stars. I get why people really, really love this book, but I just was like, okay, yay, finally, at least I'm done. It was a bit of a heftier book. I don't know, I feel like Reckless ruined it a lot for me. Reckless felt like it had a very big second book syndrome. It had a lot of that. It just felt repetitive. The second book just felt so bad that I feel like it ruined Fearless for me so much. Like, I could have rated it 4 stars if Reckless was a novella. If Reckless was just at the start of Fearless and done. Like, make it to a duology. Don't make it into 3 books. I don't care about the sales, but I just did not like Reckless. Then one of my most anticipated reads of the year. I was so excited for this to be released. I was like, yes, I'm finally gonna see you. If you guys saw that one video where my Throne of Glass videos, my reading vlogs there, you probably saw me talking about this because it was announced then that it was going to be released in April of 2025, and I was just like, yes. And that was Watch Me by Takeru Mafi. You know, I absolutely love this book. 5 stars. I made an entire reading vlog just reading that one book, which shows the dedication because I don't do that a lot. And also because I didn't feel like rereading the entire Shadow Me series. I have plans of maybe rereading the Shadow Me series this year, but a lot of people say that it's just like that. It's mainly at the start of your reading journey. If you read this, then you're going to absolutely love it. But afterwards, you're kind of going to stop loving it. So I don't know. I don't want to ruin its perfect image, but I did absolutely love Watch Me. It just brought me back into the world that I miss so much. It is literally, it's not the book that got me back into reading because that is Keeper of the Lost Cities and Percy Jackson. Those are the ones. But Shadow Me was just such an important step in my reading journey. It's one of those books that I look back on and I'm like, I'm so happy I read you. I will miss reading you for the first time. Because I remember when I was reading them for the first time, I was flying through those books. Anyways, next I read Crown of Gilded Bones, continuing the Blood and Ash series. Let's just call it BA series, okay? Because I don't want to continue saying the entire series. But Crown of Gilded Bones, I rated it 4.5 stars. It was fun, nothing crazy. Then I read Divine Blessings, which was an arc that I got. And I just want to say thank you to NetGalley and to the publishers for sending this to me. I rated it 3.5 stars. It was fun. It is a fantasy romance. It has since been released, so if you guys want to read it, it is out. Then I read Shadow in the Ember, also part of the B&A series. Rated it 3 stars. I didn't really love it. It was not that fun as the rest of the books. This was just not as good. Then the last book I read, another pretty anticipated release, which was Enchantra, which is like the second interconnected sort of book to Phantasma, and this was also so fun. I think Phantasma, I loved it more, but Enchantress was also such a fun book. I rated 4.25 stars. I also think you guys should read it. It was a really fun book and just had great things in it, and it also had sort of trials. It was really good. Then I think another, it was sort of anticipated, but it was more so oh, it's out. Let me read it because, it's Emily Henry. But I know that all of the Emily Henry, mean words, not going together today. But I know that all the Emily Henry fans were jumping up and down hearing about this book, but then afterwards, after they read it, they didn't enjoy it as much. I personally enjoyed it a bit more. It was fun. It was a bit different, I feel like, from a lot of romances, and I think it was different from what Emily Henry usually writes. But I read it, that it was Great Big Beautiful Life, and I read it 4.25 stars. I enjoyed it personally, but I know a lot of other people said that it was not good. Like, some people would say Great Big Beautiful Disappointment, you know. Then I read This Is Me Trying, which is another arc. This one is a romance. It has a few dark topics, and it's written in a very interesting way. And I just want to say again, thank you to NetGalley and the publisher for sending this to me. This has since been released too, so you guys can go read it. It is different. It's not a simple romance because the main character deals with some things, but it's an interesting book, and I think you guys should try it. Then I read Your Fault and Our Fault, or Culpa Tuya and Culpa Nuestra. So, finally read those and finished the series because I was like, oh wait, I remember I read the first one. But you know, the first one ends in such a way that I forgot that there's second and third book. But I read the second book, and I rated 4.25 stars. It was an interesting book, but honestly, now that I look back on it, I think I enjoyed the first book the most. The rest were like, okay. And then Our Fault was rated 4 stars. So that's my thoughts. Then continuing my B&A journey, I read The War of Two Queens, rated at 4 stars. Then read A Kingdom of Shadow and Ash, which was another arc that was sent to me. Again, thank you to NetGalley. And the publisher is sending it to me. It has since been released. And this one, I really enjoyed it. I would really love to see the second book to this. It was such an interesting world. It was so fun. It is a fantasy romance. But I really enjoyed it. It was actually, like, I want to get back into it. I know there should be a second book releasing. I don't know when. But, yeah, there's that. And then I read We'll Always Have Summer, finishing the entire Summer Turned Pretty series, the entire thing. All the books finished, finally, which prepared me for the Summer Turned Pretty season 3 release that was starting in, like, June, July, I don't remember. You know, so it got me prepared for that, so I finally got it. And I rated 3 stars. 3 stars. I don't know. I just didn't really love it. Honestly, the entire Summer Turned Pretty series just feels like a hazy dream I don't remember reading. You know? I just don't remember anything about it. Record me, so you might be like, when did you change, Romy? I took a break, but I'm back to continue talking about all the books I read. And next we have up When in Rome, which was another cute romance. I read Practice Makes Perfect like a month before that, and this is part of the same series. And, like, there's another book that I think already came out or is coming out this year. But pretty much I gave When in Rome 4.25 stars. It was really good, so cute, so fun. I absolutely adored it. It was such a great book. Then I decided to read Chain of Thorns, finishing that trilogy, I don't remember what the name is, in the Shadowhunters world. I am planning to get back into the Shadowhunters world. There are a few, like, short stories I want to read and some other stuff, so I'm going to get back into it. It's just I've been sporadically reading it, very sporadically. But Chain of Thorns, I rated it 3 stars. I feel like I probably should have just read the entire series in one time because just waiting kind of made me forget a bunch of the things that happened in the other books. Then I reread the entire Boys of Tommen series, so Binding 13, Keeping 13, Saving and Redeeming 6. I didn't reread Taming 7, but, like, you know, I read the core 4, that's what I would call them, you know, and obviously I read them 5 stars. There isn't even, like, question of what I read them. They are a 6 stars forever, never, 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 you know. Then I read The Lantern of Lost Memories, which is, like, a super short story, and it was, like, 2.75 stars. It is actually originally Japanese, but it was translated. I read the translated version, obviously. And then I read Releasing 10. Now, here with the rating, I don't know. I absolutely love it. But I was in such a headspace, and I was trying to whip out the video, like the Boys of Tommen video, when I was rereading everything, and reading Releasing 10 in, like, a very short timeline. And at the same time, I was also doing school, and there were, like, a bunch of exams going on. And so, honestly, that entire time, I was just feeling like hell, and I don't know, I feel like I rushed it. I should have taken my time and read it. I am planning to reread Taming and Releasing 10 in preparation for whatever books that, like, Chloe Walsh has said that there's going to be new books releasing. So I will reread Taming and Releasing 10 only, probably, in preparation for those new books. So yeah, there's that. Anyways, let's go now into June. And first book I read was Summer Romance, which is, I read her, like, other books. I don't remember, something Rome, and then, North Stays Off Script, and then another one. And Summer Romance, I read this one, and this one was 5 stars. It was so good. It was so interesting, and it had, like, these things that I was just so happy about. Like, I don't know. I was just so excited for this book, and it just lived up to its hype. It was such a good book. I finished it in one day. It was amazing.
And then I decided to read Rock, Paper, Scissors, which was my first, I forgot the author's name, but it was the first time reading her, and it's one of her most popular books, and I rated 4.75 stars. It was such a good book. It was so fun, and I didn't expect the ending. It was just perfect. Then I read The Atlas Six, 4 stars. I've been putting this book off for so long, so I'm so happy that I read it. Then I read King's Cage, continuing the Red Queen series. I rated 3.25 stars. As I said, this Glass Sword really ruined the series for me. I feel like it just made it much worse. Like, well, not by much worse, but like it just kind of ruined it a bit. I was like, I didn't really love the second one. Next, I read His and Hers, another book by the author of Rock, Paper, Scissors. I forgot her name. It'll come back to me. But His and Hers, I rated 4.25 stars. It was another great book, but Rock, Paper, Scissors by far was much better. Then I read Heat of the Everflame, which is like the third book of that series. I rated 4.25 stars. It was really good. Then I read The Risk. I started reading the Off-Campus series. So The Risk, I gave it 4 stars. Then, oh wait, no, this is a different, sorry guys. I'm all over the place. No, this isn't it. I decided to read the Mindfuck series. That's what it is. And I rated every book pretty much like a 4 stars. Well, like I rated All the Lies and Painted All Red, like All the Lies 4.25 and Painted All Red 4.5. Honestly, it's just a Mindfuck series, and it was such a good series. I recommend everybody reads it. It's such an amazing series. It's so beautiful. It's so, oh my god, I don't know how to explain it. It's pretty much, it's romance, but then there's also a mystery thriller aspect, and it's just so fun to read, and it just goes by so quickly. Like, I read every book every day, like every short story pretty much, and I finished it when I was on a school trip, so that's insane for me. But they're very short, each of the stories. It's pretty much one big story, I would say. It's like 600 pages total, but it was so good. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I will always love it. Then I read Magnolia Park's Long Way Home, continuing that series, and I rated it 4 stars. It was really good, and I had fun with it. Then I read Atmosphere, such a sad book. Atmosphere, I was just feeling everything, and I didn't want to feel anything, but I felt a lot. It was 4.25 stars. I really enjoyed, I honestly just really started to like Taylor Jenkins Reid's, and so I decided to read Daisy Jones and the Six, which is another one of her popular books, and I rated 4.25 stars. It was such a good one too. And I then actually not too long ago I watched the show of it. It was also really fun. It just kind of brought me back. It reminded me how much I loved this book. It was such an interesting plot, and how it was written with the interviews and everything was really fun. Then I read A Light in the Flame, continuing the B&A series, and that was 4.25 stars. Then I decided to read Everything I Know About Love, which is kind of like it's a memoir, so I don't have a rating for it, but it was so fun. It just not fun. I don't know. I'm trying to speed run all of this, but it's hard. But Everything I Know About Love is a really interesting memoir, and it really teaches you about love. There are a bunch of quotes that I highlighted that are still on my phone to this day. And then I read An Ember in the Ashes, continuing the B&A series, and I rated it 4 stars. And the last book I read was We Were Liars, which is a super short thriller, but I rated 1 star because I did not care a single tiny fucking bit about any of the characters. They could have all died and I wouldn't have cared, pretty much, so I didn't enjoy it. I can say no to that for sure. Anyways, now we're going into July. I read House of Hollows, which was a DNF, another book. It was just 1 star and then a DNF. It was horrible. Then I decided to read Playboy, a romance, and this was one of the accidental pregnancies, but it was actually fun. It was 4.25 stars, very easy to read, very quick. And then I read To Kill a Kingdom, which was a 4 stars, not bad. And then I read Torch Against the Night, continuing the series. Oh wait, no guys, sorry. An Ember in the Ashes is another series. I just kind of got it confused and thought it was part of the B&A series. I'm all over the place, as I said, but this is the second book in the Ember in the Ashes series, and Torch Against the Night was 4.25 stars. And then I decided to start one of my favorite series of all time nowadays, which is the entire Chicago series, what I call it, but pretty much Mile High and all of those, the Windy City series. And Mile High was obviously 5 stars. The Right Move was 5 stars. Caught Up was 5 stars. And then I took a break and read A Reaper at the Gates, and that's like the last book in An Ember in the Ashes series, and this was 3.5 stars. And then I read Play Along, put it at 5 stars again. Loved it. And then Gifted and Talented I read, and it was like a new release, and I actually really enjoyed it, which is unexpected. I did not expect to like it as much as I did. I expected it to be like a 3 point something, and I rated 4.25 stars. And then I read Rewind Back, finishing the Windy City series. I wish I took my time reading them, but they were so good. I loved it, and I rated it obviously 5 stars. And then I decided I was kind of like, not exactly a slump, but just after those bangers, I was just like, what the fuck? And I just read A Love Letter to Whiskey, 4.25 stars, not bad. And then, oh, sorry guys, A Sky Beyond the Storm, that was the last An Ember in the Ashes book, and that was 4 stars. And then I started to read Harry Potter, and I read the first 3 books. So Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, I rated at 3 stars. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, 3.5. Then Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, 3.5. I don't have a lot of comments, so, no comment. Then I read Need You to Choose Me, which is 4.25 stars. I think it was another accidental pregnancy book. Then I read Holly Jackson's new release, Not Quite Dead Yet. I know it wasn't exactly fall yet or Halloween, but whatever. And I read it 5 stars. I absolutely love this book. This was so interesting. And I just love books where there's like a timeline, sort of. Like, I don't know, like there's like a due date. There's like, or like a set times. I just love that. I that's me. Personally, that's my opinion.
I didn't say bad things about Brooks. I said I don't think that he's good for you.
How do you know what's good for me? That's my opinion!
Then I read Deceived by the Gargoyles, 2.75 stars. I don't know what that was. I don't want to remember what that was. Then I read Soul of Ash and Blood, which was 4 stars. I think this is part of the BNA Now series. Then I read Chasing Red and Always Red, which is actually first a Wattpad story, and then it was traditionally published. I rated Chasing Red 4.5 and Always Red 4.25. Then I moved on to August, and in August I was sort of in a slump, so most of the books weren't that amazing, but Blood Over Brighthaven, I rated it 4 stars. It was a fun book, and it was a fantasy, and it was very different from a lot of others that I read, so it was fun to read. Then I read The Obsidian Tower, pretty much DNF'd it. I couldn't feel myself in it, and I was sort of in a slump, so no. And then I read Scott Pilgrim Gets It Together. I rated 3.25 stars. It was fun. I don't know. It was very short and very simple. Then I read Daisy Hayes and the Grey's Undoing, which was 4.25 stars. Then I read The Songbird and the Heart of Stone, which I rated 4, which was in preparation for The Fallen and The Kiss of Dusk. This is part of the, it's like a second duet in the whole Serpent and the Wings of Night. If you guys know that, that is a duet. And then Songbird and the Heart of Stone is another duet. And the second book to that duet came out, so I decided to read it, and I rated The Fall and the Kiss of Dusk. I just pretty much DNF'd it. I didn't even finish it, I just couldn't get into it, and it was a huge slump. I don't know. Then I read Till Summer Do Us Part, which I rated 4 stars. Then I decided to continue with romances and started to read the Chestnut Spring series, and I read Flawless, Heartless, just pretty much the entire series. Flawless, 4 stars was. Heartless was a 4 stars. Powerless was a 4 stars, and Reckless was a 4 stars. Then we move on to September, where I continued the Chestnut Spring series, pretty much finishing it. I read Hopeless, which was 4 stars. And then I decided to read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, which I feel like wasn't a good choice for me because I was still in a slump, and I just rated it 3 stars. I didn't really feel anything for it at all. Maybe if I read it now, I will enjoy it more, but I don't know. But it was a fantasy. It has an interesting plot, so don't let my rating de-influence you from reading it. It's still a good book. Then I read Heavenly Bodies, and I rated it 4 stars, and then I decided to read Immortal Dark, rating it 3 stars. And then I decided to read this duet, Heartache and Hope and First and Forever. Heartache and Hope was 3.75, and First and Forever was 4.25. This is a romance. It was super fun. It did, the couple sort of, not a lot, but sort of gave me Johnny and Shannon vibes. That's why I decided to read it. And then I decided, oh wait, oh my god, I'm so sorry guys. I keep on mistaking some of these books for other books. Oh my goodness. So guys, wait. Did I say something? I don't know. Anyways, let's just pretend that nothing's wrong. Then I started to read the whole Off-Campus series before I said that I was reading it. It was not right. I don't know. I was reading something, just so you know. But The Deal, 4 stars. And The Mistake, 3.75. The Score, 4 stars. Then I took a break and read A Deadly Education, which was a mistake. 2.75 stars. I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy Deadly Education. It wasn't enjoyable. Then I decided to read Tourist Season, which the only reason I would say it was a mistake was because it's not only a dark romance, but it's also a mystery thriller. And it's a series mystery thriller. So we ended in a cliffhanger, and now I need to wait. I don't know how much time until the second book comes out, but it was really good. 4 stars. I would wait at least for the second book probably before you start reading Tourist Season. But it was a really good book. And then I read The Goal, rating it 4 stars. Then I read The Legacy, 3.5 in October. And continuing with October, I read The Book of Azrael, which was one series I'd been putting off because I thought it would be like a 5-star series. No, it was 4 stars, but it was still a good book. And then I decided to read the second book to that, which was The Sword of Broken Gods, rating it 4.5. Then there was Hot for Slayer, which was 3.5 stars. It was a fun, very simple Ali Hazelwood book. She's now starting to get a bit more into fantasy, and this one was fun. It is the romance though, but Then there is The Silent Patient, and I rated it 3.75 stars. I've been scared of this book since forever, and I finally decided to read it. I don't know why I was so scared of it. Because of the cover mainly, but I'm so happy I finally read it. Then I decided to read the most hefty book in the world of hefty, Alchemized, and I rated it 4.75 stars. It was such a good book. It is very dark, so check trigger warnings. But I just didn't feel the same 5-star feeling that everybody else seemed to feel. Then I read The Night and the Moth, rating it 4 stars. Then I read If It Makes You Happy, which is a fall romance. And guys, this was a 5 stars. This was so good. So good. It wasn't just set in fall, but it had a tiny bit of Christmas, teeny tiny bit. And the romance was amazing. And he's a single dad. He's the sunshine, and she's the grumpy. And there's a dog that looks exactly like Paulinka from Gilmore Girls. It was perfect. I loved. If it makes you happy, I recommend everybody reads it. Then I read Those Three Little Words and I rated 3.5 stars. And then lastly, I decided to continue the Book of Azriel series and I read The Dog of the Cursed Queen, rating it 4.25. Now we're going into November. We're slowly starting to get towards the end of the year, okay? And I first read Calabasas, which I rated 4.5 stars. This was such a good book. Again, Arf Kuang does no wrong. Her books are so good. And this was one of my favorites. I absolutely loved it. Calabasas was so fun and it was such a great read. And I still remember parts of it and it was so fun. And then I read Beg, Borrow, Steal, continue the When in Rome series, and I rated 4.5 stars. I'm still waiting for the fourth. I don't know when it's coming out. Then we have Hazelthorn, which I rated 3 stars. I didn't feel anything for it. I don't know. Maybe others would feel for it. I don't. And then I read Lights Out, another dark romance. I finally started getting into dark romance, really, and I rated it 4 stars. It was so fun. It was so silly, and I just loved it. Now, I read Never Lie, which was a 4 stars, which was my first Frida McFadden book. People are probably going to be like, oh, you should have read The House on 84, because that's one of her most popular series, but whatever. And then I finally read Grim and Oro, which was kind of like a dual people pretty much following everything that happened throughout the series, just in their POVs, and kind of like mainly the guys, how they came upon it. I don't know how to explain it, but I rated 3.75 stars. Then I read Saving No, which is a very dark book. It just follows, like I say, a lot, and it's just very hard to follow along with, but it was 3.5 stars. I read it very quickly. And then I read Just One Favor, 3.5. Then I decided to read Fairy Tale, 3 stars. I don't know. People say that it's very for acquired taste. It's very specific. It's not for everybody, and it just wasn't for me that much. And then I decided to read Caught Up, which was the second book in the Lights Out series. This one was less enjoyable. It was 3 stars. And then I read Feather So Vicious, which was 3 stars. I could get past I just couldn't get past so many things that happened in this book. I was just like, no, I can't do that. I can't read that. But I still decided to read the second book, Shadow So Cruel, still rated a 3. Then I read Crispus Fix, which was a 3.5. And then this very short novella, which was Mistletoe Motive, rating at 3.75. Now we are finally going into December, and we're going to talk about the last 10 books of this year. I first read The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year, another Christmas romance mystery thriller book, and I rated it 4 stars. And then I decided to read One for My Enemy, and I rated it 4 stars. I finally decided to continue because I had that book on my shelf, and I was just like, okay, I need to read it, so I read it physically, 4 stars. Then I read Nanny for the Neighbors, 3.75. This is the 3 men, 1 woman. Just so you know, that's something you should know. Then I read Wildside, which was a 3.5. Continuing that series, I still have to read Wildcard. That is the last book in the Rose Hill series I have to read to be done, and I know that this year Fever Dream is coming out. Then I read When the Moon Hatched, which was 4.5 stars. It was nice. I really enjoyed it. It was a good book. Then I read Babel, rating it 4 stars. Then I read Magnolia Parks, which is a 4.5, and I'm finally fully updated in the Magnolia Parks universe. I need right now the Daisy Hayes book, which will finish completely this entire series, but Magnolia Parks ended really, really well. I loved how she wrapped it all up. Then I read Dark Rise and Dark Air. Dark Rise was a 4 stars and Dark Air was 4.5. I wish the series was more popular. And also we have no we don't have a set date for the 3rd book in this series, which is so annoying. I need to know when it's coming out, but the author has not told us. Yay. And the last book in this year, in 2025, that I read was Sometimes I Lie, which was 3.5 stars. And that's it, guys. That is my entire 2025 reading year, which was, I read a total of 179 books. I started many series, completed a few series, and that's it. That's it. But, you know, there's that, guys. I'm really happy, though. I'm starting to get through this year, and we are reading books. We are getting through them slowly and surely. And I hope that this year will be a good reading year, that I won't just read a bunch of books, but I'll find a lot more 5-star reads, because I'm always looking for another book to obsess over. So comment down below how many books you guys have read, and if you guys recommend any of them that you've read. And let's hope for a great new year. Bye.